keeping students and school employees away from the dangers of the coronavirus while continuing with business operations? That's possible. Introducing vSmart Enroll, an online enrollment system that makes enrollment faster, safer, and more convenient. With vSmart Enroll, all relevant documents can be processed and organized in the comfort of your own home. Here's what vSmart Enroll can offer. vSmart Enroll works online and it promotes a 100% paperless transaction. vSmart Enroll paves the way for an easy and streamlined enrollment setup. It is modeled after DepEd's learning information system to make sure that students' learning records are documented properly and tracked accordingly. This online enrollment system also supports the Data Privacy Act of 2012, so all your data is guaranteed safe and protected. You also don't have to worry about going out of your house to get enrolled, because with vSmart Enroll, everything can be done online within the safety of your own home. Vibal will also be with you throughout the entire enrollment journey, as we will provide consistent technical support to help you navigate smoothly through the system. vSmart Enroll is developed and designed for school administrators, registrars, students, and even for parents' use. With this highly convenient system, an hour of enrollment process can be trimmed down to 15 minutes or even less because of its easy and accessible registration and application process for parents and students. Even the registrars will experience fast and easy transactions. You can also subscribe to vSmart Enroll by paying through various payment channels. To subscribe to vSmart Enroll, school administrators just need to create a school account for their institution. How? Simply go to enroll.vsmart.ph, select your subscription plan, agree to the privacy policy, fill out the online registration form, and pay for subscription. Easy peasy! With this user-friendly online platform, the enrollment process can now be accomplished with just a few clicks. Start your enrollment now! Subscribe to vSmart Enroll and experience enrollment like never before.
Good day, Kabibal, and welcome to our Facebook Live learning session. For the discussion this morning, our topic will be online distance learning, expectations versus reality. Before we begin, take note of the following reminders. First, make sure you are registered to the webinar to have your e-certificate of participation. Visit certificate.wibalgroup.com to generate your proof of attendance. Place your questions in the comment box allotted during the session and they will be addressed by our speaker later on. Share the video using hashtag LearnAs1PH as our official hashtag to our Vibal webinars. Experience learning, Kabibal. And now, to proceed with our webinar this morning, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our distinguished speaker for today. Miss Trish Castro has a bachelor's degree in general humanities and a master's degree in development education, both from University of Asia and the Pacific. She has since discovered the wonders of how technology can aid teaching and learning. She eventually became an Apple Distinguished Educator and a resource speaker in the field of education technology. She is currently the EdTech Director of the La Salle University Integrated School in Binyan, Laguna. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Trish Castro.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you are able to see the link for the download, but let me just share it to you. This Maybe this is something new for all of you that a speaker would already immediately give the handout even before the learning session starts. So kindly go to bit.ly/ODLXREAL to download your journal and handout. It would be beneficial for all of us if we have this handout side by side because there are things that I might not be saying or prompting during the whole webinar, but I am prompting you through that journal handout that I uploaded here in Bitly. I hope you have access to this. And for those who have mobile phones and are watching the webinar through a laptop, it's easy for you to just use your mobile phone. If you have a QR code reader, just flash this, bring your mobile phone to take a picture of this QR code and you'll be brought to the download link for the handout. So I'll just maybe give you a minute to just open the link and download this handout. So I hope we're doing well. Siguro mag 1 minute music tayo. Meron akong pinapakinggan ngayon na sa Spotify na Starbucks music kasi very important yung mental health sa atin ngayon, 'di ba? So nahanap ko tong Starbucks chill kasi hindi tayo makapag-Starbucks. So hanggang ambience na lang tayo ng Starbucks at ang ating 3-in-1 Nescafe. Ay, sorry, hindi po ako endorser ng Nescafe. Okay, download lang po tayo. Okay, ready na ba tayo? I hope that I gave you enough time to click on the link and load it on your web browser, on your phone, or on a tablet, or on a laptop. Hopefully, meron naman tayo niyan. I think at least dalawa yung gadgets natin na kailangan no for online distance learning. So just to set the expectations versus reality din lang naman yung ating seminar this morning. I'll be code switching English Tagalog para kasi gusto ko nga ma-contextualize tong mga natutunan ko sa ISTE seminar ko nung Summer Learning Academy. It was a 3-week webinar. Puro webinars yun every day, and then I had to go through 4 modules and to be able to get a short course certification for that training for especially for education technology experts. So let's start. So ngayon, the school year is about to start. Siyempre, ready na tayo, no? Ang dami nating mga pinagkagagawa. Ready na yung ating virtual classroom. Yung mga natutunan natin dun sa mga webinars nung summer. Nakakaririn natin kasi magsa-start na yung school October 5, right? Buti na lang. Thank you, Secretary Briones, for delaying the opening of school. Kasi parang hindi pa rin tayo ready. Pero sa school ko, nag-start na kami July, third week of July for the K to 10. But our senior high school students started July 1. So marami na rin kaming experience. So itong webinar na to really will be coming from my experience as someone who has already started teaching. So hindi lang ako edtech director, hindi lang ako yung direct sa school namin kung ano yung gagawin. But I also have a teaching load because I believe that if you're an administrator, kailangan talaga you have first-hand experience of what's happening down there. Para nakikita mo na agad, makapag-decide ka na rin kung ano yung mga dapat gawin, diba? So ito, mga pinaggagawa ko nito nung summer, diba? So may virtual classroom ako, andyan pa si St. John Baptist de La Salle, kinarira ko yan. Nilagay ko pa yung picture ng Lasal dun sa window nung aking banner, di ba? Nag-install ako ng sandamakmak na mga Chrome extensions. Kayo, ilang extensions na ba ang na-install niyo dyan? Inaral ko pa yung SISO. Nag-aral pa ako ng Google Classroom, no? Yung mga LMS natin, Canvas, etc. Na-discover ko pa si Pear Deck. Ano ba yan? Quizlet, Quizzes, Wiser.me, Khan Academy. Inaral ko pa si Zoom. Inaral pa natin yung Google Meet. At syempre, inaral ko lahat to para maturo sa mga teachers ko at saka para rin ako magamit ko. At kayo, ang dami nyo rin natutunan, right? Nung summer, ang daming na host na webinar ng Vibal at salamat sa Vibal Group, ha? Dahil they're giving us these free training over the summer to really prepare us for the ODL. And I thought, nung mag-start na kami ng July 25, I was very ready, right? Oh yeah, right? I am so ready. Parang go to. May halong excitement, confidence, at saka nervyos at the same time. Siyempre, yung nervyos, hindi naman mawawala yan, diba? Kahit nga yung pagsimula nito, may konting nervyos ako kasi first time ko kayong haharapin. Pero everything crumbled down to pieces when the school really started to roll, right? There were things that we failed to consider. Personally, I thought I was prepared. Pero yung CISO class na ginagamit namin sa school, walang calendar. So gulong-gulo yung mga parents namin. Hindi nila alam kung ano yung gagawin nila kasi halo-halong kalamay. Walang calendar dun sa CISO. So ngayon, yung mga teachers nagkukumahog, gumawa ng Google Calendar. Paano na makapag-provide ng calendar? Yung Google Meet, akala namin ayos na yung mga .edu.ph na yan, pero ang dami pa rin technical glitches na hindi na namin alam ang gagawin kasi yung parents email dito, email doon para lang makapasok yung anak nila sa Google Meet. Kala namin smooth sailing, 'di ba? And then yung LMS namin, no, yung mga kung ano-ano mga pinaglalagay ng mga teacher diyan. Imagine, sa elementary, may 10 subjects. Yung mga 10 teachers na yon, naglalagay ng mga requirements dun sa kanilang calendar, 'di ba? So yung workload, ang daming mga feedback from the parents, no, na ang daming ginagawa dito, here and there, na parang pupuyat yung kanilang mga elementary grade school children. At saka mga senior high students na rin, no, from kinder to grade 12. Everybody is complaining about the workload. Talagang wow, hindi na namin talaga makayanan. It was a very stressful first few weeks sa end namin. And real talk lang naman tayo because ODL is something very new for all schools, not just to big schools like La Salle, no, or Xavier or whatever other schools there are out there who seem to be already very ready and it will never be perfect. But kung i-wait natin na mag-perfect to, hindi na tayo makapagsimula at all, right? So we just think that DepEd Secretary Briones was able to at least give us a few more weeks before we start the school year. But pero wala eh. We'll have to start, no? October 5, we really have to start, perfect or not. Kasi, or finish or not finish, right? Pass your papers. Kailangan mag-start na yung school year na yan. And tandaan nyo rin ito. And this is very good for your mental health as well. That perfection is the enemy of done. If we're going to always wait for things to be perfected, we will not move on. Hmm. Parang love relationship lang. Pero move on din tayo ha. Hindi sa mga hindi pa nag-move on dyan. So ito yung mga expectations natin ngayon. Diba? It's so picture perfect. Na-imagine natin yung mga estudyante natin nagtataas ng kamay, nakasmile like yung bata dito sa picture na to. Or yung mga parents helping their children. Look, ayos na ayos pa yung buhok, very calm. The mommy looks so patient in this picture. Pero ang ating reality, I'm sure nakita nyo to dahil this was a viral post by Finding Tom. He's a British, I think, British, and married to a Filipina teacher. And he shared sa post niya yung mga difficulties na na-experience ng kanyang wife sa pagtuturo. Nag-start na sila no? Tingnan mo naman yung table ni ma'am, right? At tingnan mo naman yung asta ni ma'am. Talagang gusto niyang patahimikin yung mga bata. Kasi hindi marunong mag-mute yung mga bata sa Google Meet or Zoom. Ano bang gamit niya dyan? Hindi ko na masilip. No? Mukhang Google Meet. Tapos at the same time, may pagkain siya dito sa kanan, may kape, may cactus. Sana hindi niya nahahawakan yung cactus at nasasaktan siya. No? So iwas-iwas din tayo sa cactus kasi baka mamaya sa stress natin, yun ang mahawakan natin. Derricks. Yung mga plants natin, yung mga plantito at plantita, hello po dyan. Meron din po akong plant. Maganda rin to itong plant na nandito sa tabi ko, maganda daw sa mata. So, yan ang importante, water plant. Potos, I think yung tawag sa halaman na yan. Tip. Reality. Ayan, nakita nyo rin siguro to sa Facebook, no, na sa feed ninyo na caption this, online class. Kita naman natin yung anak, no, na talagang parang gusto nang mag-give up, na parang hirap na mag-focus dun sa teacher niya dun sa Google Meet, sa video conference, at yung nanay nandun lang sa gilid at may hawak na tsinelas. Kasi ito talaga ang reality, no? Yung mga magulang ang teacher natin, o ang ating mga teacher aid sa bahay. Actually, sa US, ang tawag nila sa mga parents ay learning aids. And this is a term that we all have to remember, that parents are our learning aids. Kung sa school, meron tayong mga teacher aid, kung maswerte tayo, no? Kung sa school nga, meron tayong mga teacher aids, right? Sa mga lower grades. So, ang mga parents natin ngayon ay ang ating teaching partners sa mga bahay. At huwag niyo silang kakalimutan ever. They are our superhero learning aids. Ito nga, sabi nga ni Gregory Mishi dun sa isang tweet niya, if my remote classroom had an ad campaign, this would be my advertisement. Mr. Michi's remote classroom. It was better in his imagination. Ganon talaga. I also have imagined that my own classroom or teaching style will be as picture perfect as it would be. Pero ako ngayon, coming from experience, those who will still be starting or opening their school year sa October 5 or soon, maybe September, last week of September, or maybe next week, you have to start managing your expectations because reality is so different from how we imagined our virtual classroom would be. And very true. This is a universal feeling. It's my feeling. It's Gregory Mitch's feeling. He's a teacher in the United States. And this is a global phenomenon. And what is the root of all of these mispectations? I would like to call it mispectations because these are wrong expectations, no? Is really our implicit bias. We have to start recognizing our biases because it is crucial, let me read, it is crucial for the true understanding of our students. It will help break down stereotypes and barriers. Very Western yung definition, pero basically, huwag tayong assumptionista. We have to destroy these assumptions, these implicit biases. Bakit implicit? Ibig sabihin unconscious. We're not aware of these biases in our thinking, biases in our decision making. And this is the first thing that we have to really destroy. If our imagination will crumble down, let implicit bias also crumble with it. Kasi we have to destroy these implicit biases. Ano bang ginagawa nitong implicit biases na to? Unconscious biases, according to Dasgupta way back in 2013, unconscious biases are not permanent. In fact, They are malleable and steps can be taken to limit their impact on our thoughts and behaviors, in our decisions, in how we think, how we plan, how we design our lessons. So this is something that we can destroy, something that we can remove from our thoughts. So yan ang isa na nating kailangan gawin para yung expectations natin ma-manage to minimize these implicit biases. For example, ano ba itong mga implicit biases natin ngayon, especially in the context of ODL, no, or online distance learning? One is ability bias. Yung using ourselves as the measure for our students' ability. Kaya kong gawin to, so kaya din ng mga bata. Maraming ganyan, di ba? Ganyan tayo mga teachers. Natapos ko yan ng 1 hour. Kaya din nilang tapusin yan in 1 hour. So these are biases that we have. And sometimes when we make the worksheet, nandun yun sa back ng head natin eh. Kaya kong tapusin to. Kaya rin tapusin ng mga bata. Pero we learned way back in our bachelor's degree in education that as a teacher, we have to be able to finish it in 15 minutes so that a student can finish it in an hour. Imagine if the teacher can finish it in an hour. A student will finish it what? In 2-3 hours? So that's very unrealistic. So we cannot use ourselves as the measure for our students' ability. And do not ever forget, in ODL, hindi lang students ang iniisip natin, pati rin yung parents. Kasi sila yung learning aids natin sa bahay. Sila yung extension natin. Sila yung ating physical presence at home. Right? Using ourselves also as the measure for the parents' ability. Madali yung sa students eh, kasi natutunan natin yan sa school, sa university. Pero yung mga parents, sometimes, iniisip natin, magka-age kami niyan, magka-henerasyon kami niyan ni mami. Kaya niya yang gawin, no? Hindi. Hindi rin talaga kaya ng mga parents yan. Because some mothers are housewives. They don't have experience in the office. And they do not have experience in using productivity tools. They don't have experience in registering in online tools. Minsan, baka ang alam lang ng most ng parents is mag-register sa Facebook, mag-post ng mga updates nila sa Facebook, mag-Lazada, mag-Shopee, right? Pero not everyone is capable really of what we are capable. We're teachers eh. We have to destroy this kind of implicit bias. And this is the root of these expectations, no? Kasi we expect the parents to do this. So, nagkakaroon tayo ng friction with the parents. We have to start placing ourselves in the shoes of the parents. Pero mahirap yon kasi ang dami nating alam as teachers. So, kailangan natin talagang pag-aralan to put ourselves more into the shoes of the parents. And personally, it took me a month to really be able to fit into the shoes of my parents. Yung una, ang sikip eh. Ang laki ng paa ko sa mga sapatos nila. So, unti-unti nang lumiliit yung paa ko. Parang yung mga Chinese, di ba? Yung culture nila, pinagpipilitan na isaksak yung paa doon sa sapatos na maliit. Kasi the smaller the feet, the better for Chinese culture. So, parang ganun, no? Nag-adjust din ako, no? Just to be able to fit in my feet into their shoes, so to speak. So we have to destroy this ability bias na kaya din nila. Kasi kaya ko. Kasi tayo yung measure. Tayo yung naging gauge. Tayo yung ruler. We cannot be the ruler. Dapat sila. Right? This is what you call personalized learning, di ba? And then another bias, yung class status bias. What is class status? Yung mga may kaya, walang kaya, average, middle class, above middle class, etc., etc. Yung may isip natin, itong class status as a gauge for students' ability to use technology. May piano yan sa bahay, middle class yan. Marunong yan gumamit ng laptop. Nag-games nga yan eh, marunong nga mag-games. We have to start thinking that. We have to stop thinking that way also. Hindi ko marunong mag-games yung mga bata, mag-Mobile Legends, Fortnite at whatnot. Marunong silang humawak ng mobile device. Marunong na rin silang gumamit ng Google Classroom. Marunong na rin silang gumamit ng SISO. Kaya nga nilang magganito, magganyan. We cannot. We have to stop thinking that way. We always have to assume that our students and our parents cannot do it. Kasi if not, we will just spend so much time stressing ourselves also na bakit di nila kaya. Mahihirapan tayong gumawa ng not see that, if we do not destroy this class status bias. Same with parents. Again, no? Students and parents ang iniisip natin ngayon during online distance learning, hindi lang yung students. Kasi it's the parents who will be assisting their children at home, be it grade 1, nursery, preschool, all the way up to senior high school. Tumutulong yung mga parents. Kasi alam naman natin, di ba, na inside the classroom, yung mga estudyante natin, not everyone is an independent learner. ODL requires independent learning. Imagine niyo na lang yung mga estudyante niyo last year. Ilan lang sa kanila ang independent learner talaga? Ilan lang sa kanila yung hindi mo lalapitan para tulungan? Majority of the students in your class, lalapitan mo para tulungan mo eh. And this time, sometimes their parents are not even around, right? So these are the things that we have to start considering. So how do we battle implicit bias? How do we conquer implicit bias? It's important that we develop self-awareness. Self-awareness of what? Knowing our own biases. We have to start understanding the nature of bias as well. Dun sa ating handout, may tanong tayo dyan. Ano dito? Ano dito sa mga sasabihin ni Miss Trish ang uunahin ko para ma-destroy yung mga implicit biases ko? Learn about the different types of biases, either implicit bias or cognitive biases. And dialogue with a similar group. In this case, yung students natin, tsaka yung parents natin, have a dialogue. Kamusta po kayong ma'am? Ano po ba nangyayari sa bahay? Nahihirapan po ba tayo mag-upload? So yung mga ganyan, we cannot assume that they know. We always have to assume that they do not know. And that's how we teach. We assume that the students and the parents do not know anything. Sabi nga ni Bill Ferriter, alam mo, talaga tong seminar na to is thank you rin kay Twitterversity. If your students are working from home, you have to rethink your assignments. Students working from home don't have the same support and materials as students working in your classroom. They don't have peers to turn to and can't ask you clarifying questions. In the classroom, agad-agad, matatanong nila yung katabi nila, ano sabi ni ma'am? Right? Ano sabi ni ma'am? Paano na nga gagawin itong formative assessment? Sabay-sabay eh. Sasabay-sabay silang gagawa inside the classroom. Pero now, kanya-kanyang oras, right? It's anytime, anywhere with the online distance learning. It's an anytime, anywhere school. So, mahirap to. So, these are things that we have to start considering as well. So now, let's go start with the 3 basic advice. Hindi pa pala advice yon. Kaya na, advice na rin yon. Pero this one, more practical in relation to our teaching. Yung pacing natin. First, slow down. Next, lesson. Madaling tandaan, di ba? And third, transform. Slow down, lesson, transform. SLT. Slow, lesson, transform. Very important. Itong tatlong to, pag naalala nyo, ito yung mga guiding principles natin na tandaan nyo, I think mas magiging less stressful, even just 10% less. I think that's better than wala man lang diminishing ng ating stress. So first advice, slow down. Why do we need to slow down? Ito ang aking takeaway from starting the school early. I kinda did not slow down. What's important, I saw this in Twitter, very important, you have to connect first before your curriculum. Connection before curriculum. Connect with your students before you start stressing yourself with making sure that your students are acquiring the learning competencies. Connect first before curriculum. What does this mean? Know me before you teach me. If you can hear your students, this is what they are. This is their nonverbal communication to you. Know me first before you teach me. Very important. In the classroom, we can do this, right? Bond with your students. Spend time to bond with your students. You have to know me before you teach me. Let them bond with each other. So slow down. If you start teaching, wala na yan eh. Nakamute na silang lahat niyan. Hindi na sila makakapag-interact with each other. Let them bond with each other. And you also as a teacher, get to know them. Ako, yung mga estudyante ko, the only time I was able to get to know them is when nung meron akong requirement na pinagawan ko sila ng video, dun lang. Kasi the video was supposed to express their favorite music. So dun ko sila nakilala, yung favorite music nila, right? But does it have to take a formative assessment to be able to get to know them? No. Don't wait for a formative assessment or a summative assessment to get to know them. And let them get to know you as well. Share bits and pieces of what you like. No, ako rin, yan, shinare ko sa inyo. Medyo nagiging starting plantita na rin ako, di ba? I'm sure may mga plantita dyan. Kaway-kaway sa ating mga plantita at mga plantito. Yan, nagsa-start pa lang ako. And slow down. So one, slow down, right? Slow down to bond, to build that rapport with your students. Give them that social interaction that they direly need na nawala sa kanila nung summer. Ang mga kausap lang nila, mga friends nila. Now, we have to give them some social interaction with new people. No? Facilitate that. And part of slowing down is equipping your students with the tools. Paano ba sila gamitin? Again, yung nagsimula tayo ng school na alam na nila yan, gets na nila yan, kaya na nilang gawin yan or gamitin yung mga tools na gagamitin ko. Kayang-kaya na nila yan, nagso-social media nga yung mga yan eh, right? We have to equip our students. Like this tweet no, by Brenda Ochoa. Tech tour in the form of a book told from the perspective of my Bitmoji added a cartoonish narration as her voiceover. So ito, kinareer din niya na gumawa ng isang parang interactive book to teach the students, her students, on how to use Seesaw, how to use yung Google Classroom, yung mga different apps. So talagang yung week lang na yon, turuan nyo sila kasi hindi nyo sila pwedeng turuan like on-the-job training, mahirap yon. Yung concept ng on-the-job, bigay ko na yan as a written work, bahala na sila, aralin nila no, tong written work na to. Equip your students. Teach how to use your chosen LMS. I'm sure tayong mga school natin, yung mga sa private school, yung public school, we also have the DepEd Commons, yun yung parang LMS nila, right? So we have to teach them how to use the LMS. Paano ba gamitin to? Paano pumunta sa subject na to? Paano mag-download ng assignment? Paano mag-upload ng assignment? Paano magbukas ng file? Turuan natin. So we have to slow down. Hindi pwede yung first 2 weeks natin at turo na tayo. Pabayaan na natin sila. Even with senior high school, we have to do this. Kasi bago sa lahat to eh. Teach how to use your go-to app or your online tool, your preferred online tool. So kung nga gagamit kayo ng Flipgrid, ano ba yung mga favorite ninyo, Wiser.me or Khan Academy, turuan nyo din. Kahoot, Quizlet, turuan nyo din. Alalayan nyo sila. Do not ever assume na alam na nila yan, kaya na nila yan. They will appreciate even if it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 students. Kasi at the same time, you're also teaching the parents. And basic, especially for grade school, teach how to use Zoom or Google Meet. We did not have problems with the Zoom and Google Meet features sa mga grade 5 and above. I think very intuitive naman yung Zoom and Google Meet nung sa paggamit. Pero sa grade school, kailangan turuan. Ang first na kailangan nyo ituro talaga, mute, unmute. Yun talaga. Importante yun. So how can you teach them how to use unmute and mute? Ito, familiarize your students with the signals, with the symbols also, and their video conferencing app. Ito, nakita ko lang din to sa Twitter. You might want to also do this. Whether kinder or grade 12 teacher ka, magagamit nyo to, right? It can save you from mute. Eh kung habang nagle-lecture ka, edi itinaas mo na lang tong lollipop, edi naka-mute na sila, right? So you can also use these cues para, today we will be using Flipgrid, today Zoom, today whatever, mute time. So yan, nag-ano ka lang, lalabas-labas ka lang ng mga lollipop. At meron tayo ng mga symbol. Ito rin, sabi din ni Kristen Brummel, my daughter's second grade teacher held a parent training tonight and it was fantastic. She walked us through the main programs they'll be using, gave us time to bookmark them on our kids' computers, had us interact with Pear Deck slides, and answered all of our questions. Have your own mini parent orientation if you can. And this tweet is an example of how parents appreciate teachers who go the extra mile. Because like what I said, hindi lang yung mga estudyante ang mga estudyante natin ngayon. Even the parents are our students. And remember, they are our learning aids. If we expect our school administrators to train us, to prepare us for ODL, we have to trickle it down to the parents as well. Yung parents ang ating kailangan i-train din other than the students. Para mas madali rin yung buhay nila kasi alam nila kung paano gamitin. Na-train natin sila. So if you can, no, have that initiative to have a parent orientation or parent training seminar for your class. Yung lalo na yung mga advisors dyan, di ba? Yung mga subject teachers in your class would very much would appreciate your effort as a class advisor if you do this for them. And this whole idea of slowing down really just boils down to this idea: social emotional learning or SEL. Kasi importante to, itong social emotional learning, if we inject it, yung getting to know each other, being aware of the emotions of our students, what their feelings are, how our parents are also feeling, will also help in their mental health. It is very real this mental health breakdowns during ODL. Hindi talaga kasi sanay yung mga bata na working alone. They are used to working with other people. And I'm sure tayo din, we miss our co-faculty, right? Na-miss na natin yung pagpasok sa faculty, may mga asaran, bangayan, whatever, right? Tawanan, kainan, pag may birthday, may paspageti, may papansit. Na-miss natin yung mga yan. So the students all the more miss their social life. And we have to provide it in the best way that we can. It will not be the same social life that we can provide. So to summarize, take time to get to know each other, to develop this social emotional learning in the students, spend time to familiarize your students with your tools, and spend extra time to teach the parents how to use online tools you'll be using in class. In your journal, if you downloaded it and if you're using it while during this webinar, I asked you maybe what would be your takeaway for slowing down. Where can you still slow down? For those who already started the school year, where else can I slow down? When can I slow down? Let's go to advice number 2, lesson. Ito medyo madugong discussion tong lesson na to. Use few apps. Imagine, you're already using a video conference tool, right? For your synchronous sessions, either Zoom or Google Meet. That's already one app. That's already one online tool. At the same time, ito, nag-share screen ako, di ba? So, gagamit kayo ng slide presentation tool, PowerPoint, Google Slides, or Keynote. So, dalawa na yun. Right? Pili lang kayo ng isa na lang app na additional for your students. Kasi pag nagdagdag pa kayo ng isa pa, loko-loko na yan pagdating sa bahay. Open window, open up, pati yung cellphone nakabukas na rin. Mahirap to for the students. So, just use one extra app. And if you're going to teach, ang dami ko pa naman balak gawin, Mentimeter, Pear Deck, Padlet, chuchu. Pili lang kayo, ano kaya yung isang app na yun na gagamitin ko lang for this session? And then use another app for the next session. Huwag masyadong paiba-iba, ayaw din ng mga magulang yun na paiba-iba. Dahil nahirapan sila, hindi nga nila alam kung paano gumamit ng Padlet pa, tapos biglang may Mentimeter, papasok. Hirap nun. And what we also need to remember is from Monica Burns, tasks before apps. Huwag masyadong, yung term nga ng parent nun is, mga teachers, huwag kayo masyadong magpabibo. So, dami-dami ng mga gamit ng mga apps. So, medyo parang, wow, ang strong naman nun, right? Parang offensive. Nag-train ako ng buong summer, tapos sabihin mo, huwag gumamit ng apps. Pero, as you destroy your implicit bias and as you try to put yourselves in the shoes of the parents, you realize na there is wisdom in what she said. Huwag tayo masyado magpabibo in this case. Kasi bago lahat to We have to slow down. We have to lessen. We have to lessen the types of apps that we use. Huwag pa bago-bago. Sa first quarter, ito lang muna apps na gagamitin natin. Sa second quarter, dagdagan na natin. No? Padlet lang. First quarter, puro Padlet, Padlet. And then second quarter, Padlet, Mentimeter. Tapos third quarter, dagdag. No? Sa tasks before apps. And if kung kaya pa rin naman gawin ng pen and paper, yung pipicturean na lang, tas submit sa'yo, bakit hindi? Right? Isipin natin, ano pang magiging benefit pag ginamit ko yung app versus sa pen and paper lang? Kung mas may benefit talaga yung app over a pen and paper test, then let's go for the app. But otherwise, if we can stick with the pen and paper, let's stick with pen and paper. Yun lang. Contextualize in the Philippine setting. Be real, right? At saka walang bandwidth sa pen and paper. Walang bandwidth yun. Upload lang. Ayan. Do not give homework lesson. Not naman do not, siguro. Pero basically, parang do not na rin. Kasi imagine, take it from Nicholas Emmanuel. If students are sitting at home at a computer during virtual learning, why is there homework? Same spot, same device, and more work after sitting for 7 hours? Something may have to change. This is so real. Ito talaga ang scenario sa bahay ng mga estudyante, especially those who have prescribed schedules to follow in their respective schools. No? Same spot, 7 hours, tapos mag-homework ka pa, nasa home na nga, mag-homework ka pa. So if you can really just keep your activities within the school hours at hindi na mag-extend, better. But I understand that there are projects that cannot be done within the school hours. Sa classroom kasi gano'n naman talaga, Ma'am Trish eh. Sa classroom, mag-homework din naman talaga kami at kailan nila ginagawa yun? Sa bahay din naman nila ginagawa. Anong pagkakaiba? May pagkakaiba. Kasi ito, nasa bahay ka na, hindi mo na nga maramdaman na nasa bahay ka, na nagre-relax ka. Your home has become your workplace, your school. Tapos i-extend mo pa. Wala na talagang chance for you also working, for you and the students to start feeling that you are at home. You get my drift? So something that we have to take care of. If we take care of the social emotional learning and mental health of our children, of our students, we take care also of our own mental health. Remember that. Kasi we're not bothered by these things. We're not bothered by a guilt that we gave too much workload for our students. Hindi na natin sila inaalala. At pag na-imagine natin na, ay, I'm so happy my students are relaxed. They're chill. They're able to manage on their own without their classmates' help. Then we can sleep peacefully, right? Not naman in peace. Iba yun. Something may have to change. And this is something that we have to change. Let's not anymore give homeworks. I hope we can do that. Yung mga formative assessments natin, let's allot time during the day for it. So yan, I'd rather not. Ayos ba? Kung ano yung suot ko, yan din yung suot ni Bitmoji, right? Tinernohan ko talaga siya. Ito pa isa, from Edutopia. To prevent giving out busy work, write down the purpose of that assignment. And if you yourself aren't 100% convinced about the purpose, reconsider assigning it. Kung nahihirapan kayo, kailangan ko talaga itong homework na to, kailangan nilang gawin. Isipin nyo, para saan ba itong homework na to? Anong magandang maidudulot nitong homework na ito? If it's just going to bring mental health concerns with our students, and it is true ha, huwag yung mamaliitin yung mental health na yan. I used to belittle mental health, but you realize that once you experience it yourself, this mental health breakdown during ODL, hindi mo na talaga mamaliitin yun ever. Okay? So reconsider the assignment if there's really no purpose. And if you can let it go, let it go. No? Elsa should be singing in your imagination. Right? Let it go, let it go. Napakanta tuloy ako. Si Disney na naman, parang sayang nga walang Disney dito, Netflix lang. What else? What else can we lesson? So wisdom from the experience in me. That's me. Eliminate mema. Yan mga mema. Mema ipagawa sa students. Mema ipa-assignment. Again, babalik lang naman tayo sa purpose. If we can let go, yun lang. If we can, if we can forgo this homework, let's forgo. If we just have to stick with FA and SA, then let's do so. No? You right, you right. Sabi nung Bitmoji ko. I hope na ma-eliminate natin yung mga mema natin. And something theoretical, and that this one I want to share with you. This phrase cognitive load. Very important. What is cognitive load? It's the effort done by the working memory. So what this is very important to consider during synchronous sessions, during our lecture with the students. And not only for ODL, but also inside the classroom. But very important to consider even more during ODL. Kasi yung workload ng mga bata, being independent learning, very different, very difficult. So yung ating brain daw, according to this cognitive load theory, has an intrinsic cognitive load. Ito yung CPU usage ng computer natin, ng computer brain natin. Yung complexity ng information na nare-receive ng mga bata or ngayon, during this webinar, you're trying to understand what I'm trying to say, you're using your intrinsic cognitive load. To be able to para hindi ma-overwork, mag-overheat yung ating intrinsic cognitive load, we have to start simplifying it for our audience. Hindi natin gagamitin yung masyado mga mahihirap na words para lang to get the message across, right? Simplify. Look at that word at the bottom, simplify. Another one is the germane cognitive load. This is the biggest chunk among the three cognitive load that we are going to discuss today. What is the germane cognitive load? Deep processing of new information by integrating it with the previous learning. Ito yung dapat natin i-maximize. Kasi ito yung mas malaking processor ng brain natin, so to speak. So ito yung mas gagamitin natin. So ano to bang maximize na to? Itong deepening. Hindi, di ba, meron tayong mga information overload. Dun yun sa intrinsic cognitive load. Yung mga information overload, wala yun. Mahihirapan tayong, hindi natin ma-maximize si germane cognitive load. Yung deepening, yung pagpapalalim nung discussion, yung depth, hindi natin ma-maximize yung part ng brain natin na yan. If we discuss too many things, walang deepening doon. So simplify, one topic at a time. Yung mga synchronous sessions natin, one topic at a time. Extraneous cognitive load, pinakamaliit, but still we can lessen this part of the work in the CPU or in the brains of our students. What's this? These are things that distract, external distractions from the students. It distracts the working memory from processing new information, reduce. So simplify, maximize, reduce. So, ayan, mind blown, right? Bagong theory to na narinig ko lang. So, more on these cognitive loads. So, yung intrinsic cognitive load, how do we simplify? We chunk information. We can also use mnemonic devices para mas madaling tandaan ng mga bata yung mga information na tinuturo natin. And then, keeping only to 1-2 topics, keep the topics fewer. Germane cognitive load, how do we deepen? Reflection. Hindi lang mga religion classes dapat ang nagre-reflection. Even math, English, social science, dapat nagre-reflection din tayo. Filipino, TLE, music, dapat nagre-reflection din dyan para may deepening. Ano ba tong reflection na to? Hindi lang yung mga drama-drama reflection sharing ng mga naalam natin during recollection, pero yung reflection that develops metacognition para talaga mas kumapit. Yung mga plantita dyan, di ba? Kailangan ugatin para mas lumalim yung ugat sa lupa at mas kakapit yung halaman. Hindi pwedeng mababaw lang yung ating pot or yung ating halaman, right? Unless gusto natin maging bonsai siya. Yun lang. So, yun yung metacognition. Yung extraneous cognitive load, how do we reduce that? Use simple designs in presentations. Huwag masyado maraming font. Yung 6 na font yung gamit nyo sa isang slide. Keep it to just at most 3. If you can keep it to just 1 or 2, better. Ayan, no? Like this one. Like, look at this slide. Although I used 2 fonts, but the other one is almost the same. How did I vary? Vinary ko na lang sa size, sa color, but it's just 1 font. And the color, only one color, green and two, no? Green and white. Negative space. Huwag kayong matakot na walang laman yung slide nyo, na isang word lang ang laman ng slide nyo. Huwag kayong matakot. That's negative space. It helps in reducing the extraneous cognitive load in the student. Para hindi sila ma-stress. Hindi ma-stress ang brain, hindi mag-overheat yung laptop, so to speak. What else can we lessen? Other than cognitive load, workload. Things and students and parents need to accomplish within a given amount of time. Number of subjects, multiply that with the number of written works and performance tasks equals to number of outputs. How many subjects do you have? At least 9. How many written works? 3. Tapos 2 na PT. That's what? A total of 45 exams and projects just for one student in a quarter. Diba? Imagine mo na lang yan, they will be doing these 45 exams and projects on their own. Right? Talaga nakaka-drain. Talaga low bat. Kung hindi pa low bat, baka zero bat pa. Yung mga nag-mental breakdown. So, keep these in mind. So, knowing this formula, yung mga math teachers dyan, you're familiar. Saan tayo magbabawas? Saan tayo magle-lesson? Kaya ba natin i-lesson yung subject? Maybe. If you're the principal, why not? Written works. Kaya pwede bang bawasan dyan? Pwede ba tayo magbawas dyan? Sa PT, pwede ba tayo magbawas dyan? Yung trim exam ba, pwede nang alisin? Yan. So, dyan tayo. Kung hindi natin pwedeng galawin yung mga numbers na yan, how can I simplify the assessment so that it's easier to accomplish? Yun. So, let's summarize this lesson advice. Tasks before apps. Lesson apps and online tools. Lessen cognitive load. Develop more metacognition for more deepening than content. Keep workload to a minimum. Yung minimum talaga. Minimum required ng school nyo, syempre. Last advice, transform. Ano ba itong itatransform natin? Just to show you the difference between school-based learning and distance learning. This one I took from Katie Martin, just 2020. Ang dami mga lumabas na mga theories ngayong 2020 gawa ng ODL na ito, I swear. So school-based learning happens, of course, in school. Distance learning happens in the learners, wherever the learner is. At home, in the bedroom, in the kitchen, in the dining room. In school-based learning, paced and scaffolded instruction, meaning the teacher is always there guiding the student, right? But for distance learning, asynchronous instruction, self-paced, anytime, anywhere, right? Immediate feedback cycle, you're always there. Oy, mali yan, change that. Dito, nagawa na bago mo masabihan yung feedback, right? Intentionally designed feedback systems. Mas ma-effort kasi gagawa ka ng mga formative assessments online. School-based learning, consistent setting, very routine. Distance learning, setting and resources vary. Ngayon, okay yung internet ko, bukas hindi, or mamaya hindi. Mamaya, madi-disconnect na ako. Di natin alam. Common, defined schedule. And for distance learning, schedules dependent on family needs. Kahit na may schedule yung school, minsan may magme-message yung student, miss, hindi po ako makaka-attend kasi po kailangan ko pong tumulong sa family business. So may mga ganong bata. Student work is visible. Kita mo na agad. Ngayon, wala. Ginagawa ng bata sa bahay. Hindi mo, as if may CCTV ka ba sa bahay nila? Wala. Hindi mo sila nababantayan. Kamusta na yung work nila? Ang makikita mo na lang yung tapos na. Diba? Here sa distance learning, ang effort, we have to make it visible. How do we make their learning visible? Right? Multidimensional interactions and intentionally designed check-in systems. Yung sa interaction natin, ang dali. Hindi mo na kailangang maggawa ng PowerPoint slide just to know if your students are still feeling okay. Ngayon, gagawa ka pa ng slide. Gagawa ka pa ng drawing ng Likert scale para lang malaman if they're okay or not okay. And remember always that it's okay not to be okay. Panood nyo ba yun? Ganda, di ba? Yeah, just to highlight the key differences between synchronous and asynchronous. We're still in the transforming, right? Yung kita nyo na yung school-based learning will have to be transformed into distance learning. And being this distance learning, meron tayong mga asynchronous and synchronous sessions, right? Focus na lang ako dun sa mga keywords. Dun sa advantages ng asynchronous, yung self-paced, naka-pink. It's flexible, individualized, maraming tools na magagamit yung mga bata, iba-iba, available online eh. Or anywhere, anytime, like what I would always say. Disadvantages ng asynchronous, challenging for most students. Walang immediate feedback. It as on the teacher's part, it's more intentional. Then understanding of how we learn online. So may mga training tayo na ginawa, right? Nung summer para lang maging prepared tayo. Well, prepared for day one. Synchronous session, advantages, it's more reflective of the traditional classroom type. You can build relationships and develop communication skills. Then small group instruction, better. Kasi asynchronous, lahatan yan, sabay-sabay, right? Synchronous, immediate feedback and responses. Disadvantages of the synchronous, yung mga video conferences. Issues of equity and access. Lahat ba merong access sa internet? Lahat ba may tablet? Lahat ba may phone? Right? Lack of space for reflection. No one is going to guide them to reflect, right? It's very rigid. That in synchronous session, it's very rigid. And it's also not as individualized, right? This is not individualized. I cannot see your faces. I cannot, how do you call that? I'm sure baka iba dyan nagko-comment na sa Facebook or something, but it's still not as individualized. Dadalang ako ng data dito. Hindi ko alam kung nakikinig kayo. Hindi ko rin alam kung nag-agree ba kayo or nagdi-disagree. Kaya meron ako nung journal para dyan kayo mag-react kung agree, disagree. Right? Nabuksan nyo na ba? Meron tayong mga prompts. I hope you're also trying to look at those prompts once in a while. What do we need to transform? Ayan, may mga combo-combo tayo sa mga school, di ba? Combo 1, 33%, 1/3 ba? Synchronous natin, asynchronous, or 50-50 ba yan? Or mas marami ba tayong synchronous over synchronous or asynchronous? And just keep in mind, tong slide na to summarizes yung disadvantages and advantages ng ating synchronous and asynchronous sessions. So, saan ba natin gusto mag-focus? Doon sa pink, sa yellow, right? Yung pink yung advantages, yung yellow yung disadvantages. And knowing the yellows, how can we address these? And knowing your combination in your school, how can we address what's lacking? Yon. So we have to transform. It's not the same as inside the classroom. And a reflection moment. What would you not normally do as a classroom teacher that now you do in online distance learning? Right? Noon, meron ako nakitang meme yan pero very true, no? Sa quiet is the loudest word that is in the dictionary for a teacher. Right? Quiet! Diba? Sigaw na sigaw tayo. Quiet! Class, quiet! Pero now, gusto na natin silang mag-ingay. Ako yun. Yun yung gusto kong, yun yung aking transformation. Kayo, ano yung nag-transform? Ano yung nag-transform para na sa mga nag-start? Ano yung ita-transform nyo pa? For those who are still about to start. And for all of us, online distance learning teachers, these are the characteristics of what make an effective online distance learning teacher. Flexible, organized, patient, troubleshooter, as in mga IT experts tayo pagkatapos nito. Planner, shows empathy and compassion. Yung SEL, social emotional learning. We know how to multitask. We innovate, we create, we are resilient, open-minded, confident. We build relationship, and we always remain positive. And one more. Tech-savvy teachers don't know everything. They just start playing and clicking until they figure it out. Sometimes they Google to figure out how to do things. A lot, we reach out to others to test our different ideas. Just start clicking. You can do hard things. Imagine mo na si Dory. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming. So tayong mga teachers ng ODL ngayon, just keep clicking, right? And then we start discovering these things in technology. And here are references. Anyway, nasa handout naman to. Follow nyo itong mga Twitter people na to and these Twitter accounts. Lalo na si Teacher Twish. Ako yun. So follow natin sila kasi marami tayong matututunan sa Twitter. Sa totoo lang. It's really a Twitterversity. Yung mga madalas tayo nasa Facebook, right? Pero mga nakikita lang natin doon, mga halaman, pagkain, mga late posts na mga vacation photos ng mga friends natin. Pero sa Twitter, ang dami nating masasagap na mga kaalaman. Sa totoo lang, it's really, truly a Twitterversity. So, these people ang aking mga favorite na mga tao. Hindi lang yung mga tweets nila, pati yung mga nire-retweet nila. Okay, diba? Kita nyo naman yung mga natutunan ko. Shinare ko sa inyo ngayon sa Twitter. Dito. Ayan, before I end, share ko lang yung mga edu.ph accounts natin, baka di nyo pa alam. Meron tayong free pro teacher account sa Canva, yung poster making na mga app, Grammarly, no pro account pero super helpful sa grammar at sa spelling. Imagine yung mga parents natin na magbabasa ng mga assessments natin. So syempre kailangan tama yung grammar natin sa mga assessments at saka handouts natin. So Grammarly, install nyo yan. Cam scanner, kasi kailangan natin picturean yung mga worksheet tapos na ibibigay natin sa mga bata, right? Cam scanner. Yan. Free account for the .edu Pro. Then Loom, yung mga gustong mag-record ng mga videos, mga tutorial, you can use Loom. Mga vlogs, Loom. Free din, Pro account, unleashed. And recommend ko lang si Microsoft Edge. Favorite ko na to. May built-in siya na drawing tool sa PDF. Tapos pwede pang i-save. Built-in. Mag-open ka ng PDF sa Microsoft Edge, pwede ka na mag-draw. Tapos pwede ka pang mag-read aloud. Yung immersive reader nila, highlight mo lang yung text sa Microsoft Edge, right-click, open in immersive reader, voila! You can read aloud. You can also identify the number of syllables in a word. At saka yung mga nouns and verbs, maha-highlight na through the Microsoft Edge. And thank you for listening to my channel, for watching my channel. Sorry, medyo overtime. My goal was 10:50. If there are any questions, Ma'am Michelle?
Yes po, Ma'am Trish. Thank you po. We'll proceed po to our question and answer. So the first question po is from Miss Angelina Pangilinan Pinasing. Good morning po, ma'am. Online lesson is a new platform, easy to access, but there are limitations. How could we handle in fluctuating energy and as a parent, pupil, beginner in technology? Thank you po.
Pagka hindi stable, for example, yung internet. Tama ba, Michelle? Tama ba yung intindi ko dun sa tanong niya?
Opo, electricity and internet.
Okay. So dito magiging importante yung mag-upload din tayo ng videos natin. Para yung kahit mga 5 minutes lang or 10 minutes, record natin yung sarili natin. Teach lang yung basic concept dun sa lesson supposedly for the synchronous session. Tapos upload natin sa Google Drive or somewhere else na pwedeng ma-access ng bata. Para kunwari kung hindi maging stable yung internet natin, nawalan tayo ng kuryente, at least merong pupuntahan yung bata, may mapapanood yung bata na video sa Google Drive once okay na yung internet, once magkaroon na rin ng kuryente. So that would be good practice. 10 minutes lang, 10 minutes na recording lang ng sarili mo na nagtuturo, okay na yon. Hindi, it doesn't have to last the whole hour. Yeah, that's my suggestion. I hope that helps.
Thank you po. Next question po is from Miss Des Sarmiento. The great disparity po between expectations and reality screams at us when we are actually on it.
Yes.
But how do we feel the gap? Thank you po.
How do we feel the gap of the disparity? Wala eh. We really just have to communicate. Constant communication with our students, with our parents. And we address these concerns as they come along. That's the best way that we can do. That's why yung advice ko kanina, 'di ba, sa implicit bias is to dialogue, to communicate with the dissimilar group because that's the only way to really bridge the gap. Communicate. Open-mindedness. Yan. Thank you.
Thank you po, Ma'am Trish. And our last question po is from Miss Rachel Junicio. Miss Trish, any advice po on how we can provide emotional support to our students kahit na asynchronous ang aming modality?
Yan ang mahirap. Very good question. Yan ang mahirap kasi puro asynchronous tayo. Hindi rin natin nakikita yung mga bata. Really, the ideal situation or platform for social emotional learning is through synchronous sessions. Asynchronous, we can only prompt the students, ask them to fill up a form sa worksheet natin. Siguro, doon sa worksheet natin, yung first part, di ba, may name, section, tapos yung learning competency, tapos yung sasagutan na ng bata. Maybe the first question could be, how am I feeling right now? Pag nakita nyo yung aking handout, di ba meron akong ganyang tanong, how am I feeling right now, dun sa first slide ko, tapos may mga different emojis, tapos encircle, you could do that for all of your exams. Para pag binigay ng bata sa inyo, binalik sa inyo yung worksheet, alam nyo na, ay, nung sinagutan niya to, hindi siya masaya. Namomroblema siya. And then, it's already a cue. O, medyo late na rin, hindi siya timely, pero pwede mo siyang balikan, oh, kamusta ka na, Junjun, nung sinagutan mo tong assignment na to, parang yung in-encircle mo na emoji, yung sad emoji, kamusta ka na ngayon? Then yun, sulat ka. Tapos ibalik mo yung assessment sa bata, 'di ba? Pabalik naman natin 'yun, 'di ba? So sulat mo lang 'yun doon, kamusta ka na, or write something nice, no? Keep hang on, nandito lang ako. Yung mga ganong messages. I think that our students will appreciate that. Kahit na hindi timely. Yun lang naman ang problema sa asynchronous. Hindi timely yung support na binibigay natin sa mga students. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Ma'am Trish. We have one pahabol question po from Mr. TJTC. Miss Trish, would you say that this new normal is better in learning or worse than old normal that we accustomed to?
This is not, I don't want to consider it like ODL is worse than classroom teaching. I believe that both have its advantages and disadvantages. Ako, I would like to, being a very positive person, I would rather look into the positive sides of ODL, of online distance learning. One positive side of online distance learning is we all learn to use technology. And it's high time that we already start moving into the 21st century. Kasi most of our educational theories are still in the 19th, not naman 19th century, ano tayo, Victorian, 20th century, mga 1990s, right? Baka nandun pa rin tayo sa traditional teaching, and 21st century na tayo, 2020 na. So this is one thing that, if there's anything good that came out of something very evil like this pandemic, it's really pushing all students and teachers to start looking into the 21st century skills, if there's any advantage. But of course, I don't want to say worse, pero sige, since I'm positive, it is still definitely better to learn inside a classroom. The social emotional learning is still better inside the classroom. The bonding, the connections with the students, and the students interacting with each other is more emphasized inside the classroom. That's why it's somehow more bearable to learn, to do all the workload when we are inside school, because we are with others. But being at home, not being with your friends, that's very difficult to bear.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That's all the questions that we have for
Thank you.
now. Any last reminders to our viewers for this morning po?
Last reminders, slow down, lesson, and start transforming. Yun lang po. And do download the handout that I have for today. And that handout, actually, even if I did not mention it, that's also our way of deepening the discussion for this morning, yung metacognition. And the way I phrase the questions in the journal is meant to also deepen that metacognition in you. You could also do this for your students, for your classes. One journal for the whole quarter. Why not? And that's it. Basically, manage your expectations. Thank you.
There we have it. On behalf of Ibal Group Incorporated, I would like to thank you, Ms. Trish, for being our speaker this morning for this insightful and inspiring learning session. It is truly an honor to have you with us today, ma'am. And to all our Kabibal viewers, all thanks to you for your continuous patronage to our daily learning session. We do encourage you to subscribe and watch on our official Kabibal Facebook page and YouTube channel. Muli maraming salamat at magandang araw sa ating lahat. Happy weekend, everyone.
Happy
Bye.
weekend. Thank you, Bibal. Thank you, everyone. See you.